Welcome to the Dental Handoff. I am Dr. Kelly Tanner, and today he needs no introduction. Dr. Uche. I mean, come on. Uche, how are you, my friend?
I am good. Until I get the Elvis Presley status or the Mick Jagger status, I want an introduction, like, king of rock and roll, king of this, like king of pop. So
Okay,
I'd
king
like
of fitness. What are you king of?
king of my own mind. I think it's self-esteem is
Or your
probably,
own gut.
yeah, my own gut. Yeah, my 42 trillion fans that depend on me to feed them fiber. That my legion is 42 trillion strong. And if they're on your side, life becomes unstoppable. That's my thing.
Mm, all right, that is
Hmm.
powerful. You are the king of that.
Hmm.
You are well known for that. We always ask, we start with the question, why dentistry for you? Or did it choose you? Did you choose it? What was it?
Yeah, great question. You know what? I think it chose me in a way, but there's a destiny to life or synchronicity, or as Deepak Chopra says, synchrodestiny. I was lifting weights. I was in science. I was getting a major in psychology and a minor in chemistry. My marks were good. I got keener. I'm a nerd. I have a good hippocampus. I memorize things very easily. So I'm in the gym, and this guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, what do you? Are you a bodybuilder?" I go, "No, no." I said, "I'm in science." He goes, "You're smart." I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, "I got a decent GPA." And he goes, "What are you in?" I said, "Well, I'm just finishing off my chemistry degree in psychology." And he goes, "Well, ever thought of dentistry?" I said, "What do you mean dentistry?" He goes, "Well, I'm in first year." He goes, "But if you know the body, and it looks like you got a good grasp of the room. You're 20, but you got you're pretty confident person." He goes, "Ever?" I said, "Never thought of it." Anyway, he left it at that. And then I saw him again a month later, and he said, "Have you been thinking about dentistry?" I said, "Well, not really." I said, "I was actually thinking of medicine." And so I ended up adding dentistry to my choices, and I ended up applying to both. Got interviews for both, which actually means they want you. It's just that my medical school interview came first, which tanked. I was not good. I was like 21 years old. I was a bouncer at a nightclub. I came in after a late night. I had a thin leather tie. Like, remember the police from the 80s? My
Yes.
neck was the size of Mike Tyson. I was like, "Hey, you know what? Medicine." Anyway, I kept to myself, this is tanking. And then I brought up a subject I didn't want to talk about. I said, "You know what? It's not like I want to talk about, I forget what it was." And they said, "Let's talk about that, young man." And I went, total deer in the headlights. So I thought, okay, I'm not getting in that one. 2 weeks later, dentistry one comes. I study a book on body language and talking to adults. And I literally came into the room and I shook each interviewer's hand. I said, "Oh, Stephen, Nancy, Sarah, nice to meet you." And I sat down. And as I was talking, I was nodding. And then when I asked someone, I answered a question, I would not only answer the question to that person, I would fan all three, and then I'd come back and I went, "You know what? I'm going to be a dentist," I thought. But if I really wanted medicine, though, I would have applied again. But I was like, "You know what? I'm going to ride in the direction this horse is going." Right. And life has been unfolded since, like without any regrets.
You chose dentistry. It sort of found you in a gym. How wild is that? Looking back on that story, that you
Well,
put both together.
mhm. It is an odd combo. And I think a lot of dentists have eclectic minds. A lot of Renaissance women and men, you see dentists who are like violinists, you see people who are artists, you see people who are singers. But I really think, when you think about a dentist, it's a physician of the mouth. People often call us, tooth doctors or tooth mechanics. We're all about, oh, you need more crowns, or there's not enough porcelain there. If 6 veneers would complete your smile. I remember being on this plane up from Toronto on the way down to Vegas, and the plane was full of dentists, like 300 of us, all sitting there, all in our Prada belts and our Gucci pants. And and then the flight attendant comes on the front of the plane and says, "There's been a medical emergency. Is there a doctor on the plane?" And every dentist went, "Shit." Because he said, I use my doctor when I want to get a reservation at a restaurant, but I don't know where the pulse is, for crying out loud. So I realized then that as dentists, we like the word doctor, but we do a lot of mechanical work. We fix chips, we blend shades. That's very tooth mechanic like. And you hear a lot of dentists say, "Oh, you can teach anyone to drill a hole and fill it." Well, a physician of the mouth is total health. You see poor sleep in the mouth. You see autoimmune disease in the mouth. You see obesity in the mouth. You see inactivity in the mouth. You see a person undergoing accelerated aging in the mouth. That's a very different way to look at it. And so a lot of my programs, and when I share, it's like, your total health physician. And most people will see a dentist and hygienist way more times in the year than their family physician. So we are an oral physician. We were in charge of the gateway. Enough of this. I fix chips. I put veneers on, or I'm the bonding person, or I'm Invisalign. What do you mean Invisalign? I straighten teeth so you can breathe properly, and you can
Hmm.
enunciate, and people accept you and give you approval. That's very different than saying I make nice smiles. Like smile. Smile is snap-on smile, but a real smile helps you chew better, allows room for the tongue to breathe and sit properly, and enunciate and share with the world who you are. And that's an oral physician. That's a dental
Hmm.
professional. You know.
Yeah. So did you think, or I guess the better way to ask is, at what point did you realize that you were going to be that you were going to be blending dentistry, how you are today as a dentist and the oral physician in the way that you are as a speaker? You've been speaking for a long time. I saw you at ADHA.
Back in the 1960s. No, you know what though? It's all relative, right? I talked to a patient who's 80, and she calls me a young buck. I had a 94-year-old patient tell me, I like the veins in your arms, and I blushed. So it's all relative. My 18-year-old daughter thinks a 22-year-old is an old person. So
Hmm.
age long, Albert Einstein said time and space is an illusion.
Hmm.
Time can expand and contract. Space is all relative.
Hmm.
So that being said, I've been speaking a short time in relationship to Buckminster Fuller in that way, or George Burns, who was 100. But what keeps me youthful though is my ongoing curiosity, my passion for knowledge. I will never say I know it all, and I've just heard about this. There's one, and you probably have heard about this yourself. It's called about the Dunning-Kruger effect, and the Dunning-Kruger effect says the less people know about a subject, the more confident they are. Someone who loses 8 pounds on some multi-level marketing plan, they're telling everyone how to lose weight. Meanwhile, they don't even know what vitamin C is compared to calcium. And then you get a PhD in nutrition, and they'll say, you know what? Ongoing discussion is needed as to the true essential elements of what's in an apple. And that's where I am. The more I know, the more little I know. And that's a lifelong learner. That's youth. That is a fun person to be around. But anyone that person says they know it all, I run away from the person. I'm thinking Dunning-Kruger, you know very little if you sound like the buck stops with you.
Yeah, and there's so many people who do. They're just like, yeah, I'm the expert. And it's like, I mean, you can still be an expert and still be curious and still be learning. But there are some folks who think that they are at that end point. And
But
I, I'm,
Look at Galileo and Copernicus. Like they were pioneers. The whole world was flat then. The sun went around the earth. And there's a lot of very smart people who've been there, done that. They knew the world was flat. They knew the sun went around the earth. And they stoned people. They burned people. They have destroyed their books of anyone who said anything different. So I love a really good article, a peer-reviewed article in really good journals that said, this is what we found, but more study is needed. And that is the sign of an intelligent person. Like, this is what I know, more work is needed. And that's the sign of someone who's bright. That's the person who I want to spend time with. Like, that's genius. More is needed. And that's a beautiful an open-mindedness is youth.
what would you say is, I just thought of this question. What would you say is one of the most compelling things that you've learned about nutrition or fitness in the time that you've been speaking or practicing? Like the one thing you're like, man, this is the foundation of everything.
Well, there was whole subject of the microbiome. I love that question. The whole subject of microbiome, this human microbiome. Back in 2012, at the National Institute of Health, they thought there might be 2,000 species of bacteria in the body. So we're talking 12 years ago, they thought there might be 2,000 species. Now it's 20,000 species over 3 phases of the human microbiome research. And they've actually said what they found out about the bacteria, the 42 trillion cells that call you home, that call me home, is shaking the foundation of medicine and nutrition. So we don't even digest our own food. There's only 30 human enzymes of human origin, and there's 10,000 enzymes of bacterial origin. With that being said, who's digesting food and how long have they been on the planet? 4 billion years. So we can't outsmart them with a diet. And if we don't give them what they want, they will take us down. And ultimately, if we're not feeding them well, we die. And then the bacteria eat us. They decompose us. So the bacteria now that we've been starving our whole lives are now decomposing and eating us. And it's a bit of a macabre, kind of a morbid thing. But if you feed your bacteria well, energy, metabolism, good skin, hormonal health, neurotransmitter health, good tissue, lucid thoughts, pain-free, all the diseases that end in itis, all are subdued because bacteria basically ferment and create short-chain fatty acids, which are the highest anti-inflammatory agent the body makes, and it's made in your colon. And it's funny how we always poo-poo, if my son was a cardiologist, oh, my son's a brain surgeon. Yeah, my daughter, she became a colon specialist. She's a GI doctor. Like, we always think, oh, big deal. But the first germ layer that's formed is the gut. Out of the three germ layers, I think it's the endoderm. Come on, it's the endoderm that's formed first. So the gut, which becomes the lungs, the breath of life. So this gut thing is primitive, it's primordial, and that's what I'm excited about. I read, but my pulse is quickening, and I've got some endocannabinoids flying high in my brain here. So,
But how wild is it, like you said, that contrasting what they only knew a few years ago and what there still is yet to discover? And I know that you speak internationally on this very topic, and people's minds are blown. I think it's anything that we have never thought of, or maybe we've had an inkling of. Maybe that's related. Maybe that's related. But it truly is all about gut health. So, what is the number one thing, Uche, that you tell people if you had to choose? Well, maybe it's three things. Three
okay.
things that people need to do to take care of their gut health to improve it.
It's funny because nothing's really changed what our grandmother and great grandmothers have told us. Like, eat your vegetables, which is like fundamental. Great grandmothers and great great grandmothers have been telling us for years. Well, now there's a reason. Vegetables are probably the best source of fiber, and our bacteria have a primitive foundational keystone relationship with fiber that goes back hundreds of thousands of years. Cavemen and cavewomen from 100,000 years ago, Homo sapien 400,000 years ago, before fire, we grazed all day, 18 hours a day. We ate uncooked leaves and greens all day, and our digestive tracts were super long. So a big part of who you and I are cavemen and cavewomen. We might look good in our designer clothes or Christian Louboutin shoes, but you're really a Barney Rubble, and you're really Betty Flintstone, and I'm really Barney Rubble. But this whole idea is that if we do not give our caveman, cavewoman gut what it wants, it'll take us down. You will have chronic inflammation. You will have dysbiosis, bloating, brain fog, and people poo-poo it. I go, do I just take a probiotic? No, that's like a band-aid. You got to reaffirm that you got to get your fiber in. Also, the same thing. My dad always said, he said a sound mind and a sound body. Go outside and play. You've studied enough, he said, go outside and play. Well, we know playing, a lot of good students are also good athletes. Well, the science behind it is our bacteria don't have legs. They love it when we move. Rigor mortis is death. That's when they start consuming us. Movement is life. Even this mitochondria is a sub-endo inclusion that came into the cytoplasm 600 million years ago. So the reason why you and I can blink, 14,000 times a day, our eyes are closed 20 minutes a day. What allows us to move, breathe, your heart 86,000 times a day. When you think of, that special person makes your heart go pitter patter, you need mitochondria to make ATP. It has a 600 million year old connection with us. It's bacteria. Nothing happens without bacteria. And the media, we think bacteria is bad. Patients think bacteria is bad. A lot of dentists want to sanitize and sterilize. You don't need to have your beautiful Korean countertop in your kitchen clean enough to do an appendectomy. They say we're too clean. One of the reasons why our immune systems are fragile and so many autoimmune diseases, one of the four reasons is that we're too clean. And there's a book called Clean by Ben Hamlin. And it said we could probably skip showering. I know it sounds kind of bad. I do still have my friends, but it says we're too clean. We're wrecking the bacteria that take care of, to keep staph aureus in check. You have 100,000 bacteria in every square centimeter of our body. We're too clean. They said, why do you need a 30-minute hot shower? And if anything, you're decimating your resident flora and they have to start all over again. So, yeah, that's what keeps me up at night and gets me excited when I start talking.
So my 17-year-old son, when he doesn't take a shower, when he comes home, he would come home from football and go straight to bed. I'm like, no, this does not work. And he says, Mom, it's a nutrient layer.
Oh, he said that.
He said he was playing, and I'm going, oh, but it's
Um,
true.
he must have read an article of the National Institute of Health in Bethesda, Maryland. They're telling us though, we don't need to shower as intense as we do, unless you work on landscaping, unless you're a miner. During COVID, you have to be extra clean. However, now we're disturbing the microbiome layer. And there's one expert, and I forget which center that she's at. It could be Cleveland Clinic or the NIH. But she said if we disturb our microbiome on our skin, the skin biome, it speaks to the biome in our stomach. And you got to think, how's that possible? Well, none of the biome have a brain, but what I think of them as they have a consciousness. When you
Hmm.
decimate, when you decimate your skin biome, your microbiome and your gut have to take up higher slack, and now you get slower digestion, and you get disruption of the mucus layer, and now you get possible movement of pathogenic flora into the general circulation. It's called gut membrane permeability. So I know these words sound kind of complex, maybe for somebody who hasn't read too much about it. I know that you're well read, but this is if you master your biome, you literally will look. I always say you look better than your driver's license picture. If you look like your passport picture, your biome is messed up. So, and literally, I would say if 5 years from now, if you start eating for biome health, you can actually look and feel better than you do today. And that is wild because as we get older, most people think of it as a downhill slide. But I
Right.
literally meet people and go like, okay, Uche, what the hell are you eating? What are you doing? And then if they have 6 hours, I'll give them my full day. But usually it's a fun conversation. I make it fun and easy, fun and breezy, and that's the best way to get people engaged. Fun and easy, fun and breezy, demystify it, and that's my marquee. Uche makes nutrition fun. He makes it possible and doable.
Yeah. And bite
Yeah.
size,
Oh,
where people get, hi, you like that?
look at you. Oh my God. I need to write some material for me. Okay. So
I am here all week. I
okay.
was,
Okay.
I didn't tell you this, but or I don't know if I did. I don't think that I did. In January, I have a functional health doctor. So I did all my micronutrient testing,
Oh, nice.
saliva testing, blood work. Um, what else? Of course, the stool assay, all of that
Yep.
stuff. And I have all of that customized stuff, and it was so interesting what we
Hmm.
found and what was custom prescribed to me, and the changes I have seen and felt in my body, just the nuances of my skin feels better, the brain fog, all of the things that you're saying. And what we found out is that we are treating there's gluten in everything.
Right.
Right, there's gluten in almost everything. I mean, if you're not paying attention to it, it's when you start paying
Yes.
attention to it that you can find the good stuff, I think. But we found that gluten was causing almost a autoimmune response with my
Sure.
thyroid, and
Okay.
so I have to treat it right now as a gluten allergy. It's been a wild journey it's just since January about what I've learned about my body and what it truly
Great.
means.
Well, you look great. Like I can tell a lot by posture and tone and lucid, and you got your vocabulary really quick. So you definitely got a youthful look. I don't think you have a filter on. Like you definitely have.
Thank
You're like,
you, thank you.
yeah.
Yes,
I have my Angela Jolie. You have your Angela Jolie filter. I got my Denzel Washington filter here.
I know. Well,
But
I thought we were Wilma and we
oh,
were
there we go. Yeah,
we were
Wilma and
Flintstones a
Wilma and
minute
Frank,
ago.
for sure, for sure. But you know what? I think they say your skin is your digestion's report card. So if
Mm,
you got good skin, and a lot of dermatologists say, oh, it's all you're not clean enough. The kid's not cleaning their mouth. It's food. Think about it. If you're not digesting food, my naturopath said, the poorly digested byproducts, and I guess it's too kind of maybe too simplistic, gets pushed out through the skin. You show me someone that's eating quinoa, apples, wild chicken, blueberries, feta cheese, water, green tea. You show me someone that has a poor skin that eats that. Impossible. Impossible.
yeah.
Because you show someone that eats fries 3 times a week, pizza twice a week, that binge drinks twice a week, that doesn't sleep well, doesn't drink any water. I'll show you someone that has collagen that is undergoing glycation, and now you got disruption in the skin. So you got a good diet, it shows up on your skin. In a good meal, I eat a good meal. And you talk about, Uch, how long does it take? I read somewhere recently, Peter Attia in his book Outlive, he said within 6 minutes of exercising, you start epigenetically changing your genes. 6 minutes.
Mm,
Like it's not you got to wait until you lose 40 pounds or you get some extreme makeover for your stagette or whatever it is. Your genes are epigenetically changed the minute you start moving, like within 6 minutes.
wow.
That's powerful. So within a meal, if I'm feeling good about eating on my meal, my hydrochloric acid starts building to the right amount. If I'm eating slowly, the right enzymes are being made for the carbohydrates I'm eating. That's why when you dump food down your mouth really quickly, or you sit behind the drive-through fence and you're scarfing food down, and your body goes, "What the hell is that? Oh, that was a quarter pounder," gone like a shark, And now you got indigestion. Now you got this, this huge mass. And you got to think the reason why we have hydrochloric acid in our stomach is because none of our food is sterile. It has parasites. Sushi has sea lice in it. Look at our ocean is the world's toilet. That's where sushi is, that's where sushi is grown. I don't want to be graphic here, but
No,
you
but
got
it's,
to
I mean,
choose
it's facts. It's facts.
parasites, bacteria, and viruses. I think they found 1 million viruses in a gallon of seawater, which they used to think seawater was had no viruses in it. So that being said, when you're eating, chewing, like your grandmother said, this all goes back to your grandmother, your great grandmother. Chew your food till it's liquid. Chew your food till it's liquid. And now, if I chew my food in chunks because I'm nervous, not happy in my relationship, watching news that doesn't serve me, I have dry mouth because I have anxiety and mouth breathing. And now my food goes down like a ping pong ball. My hydrochloric acid cannot access it. So now I've
Mm.
introduced uh, parasitic bacteria and viruses into my body that now they get a first pass. Now they're in my small intestine. And now I've read that a third of us have parasitic infections. And basically, parasites like to chill in warm environments. So at 98.6, in a person that's sedentary, they find, and when parasites lay eggs, it's not just 5 at a time. They don't do twins. They do thousands, thousands.
Mm.
There was that one brain surgeon in Australia. If someone Googles brain surgeon, woman, Australia, 2024, this brain surgeon saw a 4-inch worm wriggling inside the brain as they're operating. And this is reported on all the news. It kind of got swept under the rug. People are like, one worm. It's like when you see an ant in your house. There is 1,000 ants in your house. So talk about
Mm.
an oversensitive immune system. Talk about a not a very smart immune system to get this parasite that's not serving you out of there. So chew your food well is not a bad idea. So
Wow.
if you're swallowing your food down, teenage boys hump hump hump.
Yeah.
The double Angus burger is gone. Um, Not a good idea to do that 2-3 times a week, kids. And they introduce pathogenic flora, pathogenic bacteria into their bodies early. Look at kids at 18, 19, can't sleep, falling asleep on the carpool on the way. At 18, you slept 9 hours and you're falling asleep. The immune system's working overtime. Poor
Hmm.
eating habits and brain fog. A lot of these bacteria can go through the blood-brain barrier, and so hence this microbiome is like it's such an exciting subject. Like it's my morning program tomorrow in New York, but it's like I can't tell you. I try and start off subdued and quiet and very cerebral. One, one time I didn't have a wireless mic and it was wired, and I had to stay by the podium, and I was literally dragging the podium with me around the room because when I get infused with that excitement, I'm like Billy Graham, the evangelist in the 50s, if we gotta take care of these parasites, so
So what do you do to get rid of the parasites? I mean, once you have, what does a person do
gotta make your
to
immune
get rid?
system smarter. 70% of the cellular constituents of our immune system is in the GI tract. 70%. So anytime that you have smarter bacteria, anytime you have more diverse species, there's a crosstalk between the bacteria and your immune system. Well, if you have a lot of diverse species, a lot of variety of food, don't eat the same foods all the time. Up to 24 different whole foods a week, they say, to have a good biome. So more
Mm.
variety. Chew your food slower. Don't be too clean. Don't sanitize your whole house. In the operatory, it makes sense. You do not need able to do an appendectomy on your beautiful quartz counter. Sleep, sleep. Oh my God, sleep alone. There's a thing called the glymphatic system. And what it is, cerebrospinal fluid goes all around the neurons and it flushes out beta amyloid plaque and tau tangles. You and I right now, our lymphatic system's working away, kind of just like maintenance. When you sleep, it goes into high gear, up to 20 times more.
Mm.
So if you slept 8 hours every night, and I was this macho guy, oh, I sleep 4, I own 7 offices, I sleep 4. I got a dirty brain. And I wonder I can't keep track of my team, and I don't remember people's
Mm.
names, and forget to call my accountant back. And you got a good brain because you sleep 8 hours. They've actually shown if you don't sleep minimum 7, unless you have a rare gene, you got a dirty brain, more chance of dementia, emotionally triggered. Try and get them. If you sleep, say 8 hours, and you love your life, and you eat a nice feta cheese arugula meal, someone honks you from behind, you're like, buddy, or sometimes you don't even hear them because you're so emotionally stable. You're like Buddha driving your
um,
namaste,
let it go.
let it go. Yes.
Wow, I have so many questions.
Shoot.
Okay. So to get rid of parasites, you have a healthier microbiome. Now, what do, Uche? I'm that person who I will eat healthy foods and I will eat the same thing every day that's a healthy food.
Okay. So that's probably okay. That's good. It's good to admit though. And if you're on a diet that's very new, and as a smart person, you're consciously competent, but that takes up a lot of energy. So to make it simple for you, you start eating the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
Lunch is spinach salad, half a can of salmon with cherry tomato and extra virgin olive oil. Your bacteria, which have been on the planet for 4 billion years, are saying, what the hell, Kelly? Isn't there 100 species of apple? Aren't there 1,000 species of potato? Give us a sweet potato. Give us a purple potato. No, no, no. White potato, small, steamed. The bacteria is going, WTF? You know, WTF?
All right. So I
And
need more variety. I need more variety.
you eat more variety, you will have a youthful digestion. And that's why as people get older, like, people often have very no meds. 18 years old, zero meds. Age 50, average 2 meds. Age 70, 4 meds. Um, the more pharmaceuticals you have in your body is because you haven't embraced the beautiful pharmacy that's created inside you, like endocannabinoids. Our body makes something called opyorphin. It's a morphine-like substance in our saliva. Short chain fatty acids are the postbiotic product of fermented fiber. And the sad thing is, though, if you want to see why, and again, when you go to a dental conference, a lot of sharp people, right? Well dressed, good conversations. And you're thinking, wow, North America is the promise of the future. Go into the general population, okay? Um, 95% of people don't eat enough fiber to make the biome happy. So literally only 5% of North Americans eat the amount of fiber to make these 4 billion-year-old bacteria happy. And guess what? Brain fog, metabolic illness, rampant autoimmune disease, chronic dysbiosis, bloating, accelerated aging, and ultimately, you look like a driver's license picture. So
Yeah.
if you look better than your driver's license picture, and again, I think a lot of men need a reason. If you're going to update your profile on Tinder or Bumble or Hinge or Grindr or whatever you're into, get your biome in shape for 7 days, and then bam, all of a sudden you are, the Denzel, the Bradley Cooper
For
of Tinder
seven
that night.
days? You said for 7 days?
7 days, life changing. Taste bud.
Really?
Oh, your biome knows. Being lucid, being emotionally present. Emotionally present makes you attractive. People that can't do active listening, that people get introduced at a conference, say it's my friend Kelly Steve. I walk away, hey, excuse me, can I say your name again? You have 2 university degrees and you forgot Steve's name. That's brain fog. So dementia is not something you get at 75. It starts at 30.
Mm.
So we're talking, the benefit is you come across sharp. Mentally lucid people are sharp. They can engage. They're funny. They can open the door and remember what you're supposed to do to make a person like you. You can look at a bill, and I've read this on a dating site the other day. It says, if a man, again, I'm being a little Jordan Peterson. Do you read any Jordan Peterson, or do you like Jordan
Mm,
Peterson?
no, no.
Clinical psychologist out of Canada, a little disruptive, but a disruptor, good guy. He says, again, if you're dating in the traditional sense and you're with a date for the first time, and the man is going to pick up the bill, if he looks at it for more than 5 seconds, he's a cheap dude. Run, go to the bathroom and run. Because if he's cheap scanning the bill, it means he's going to be cheap with everything else with you, cheap with his love, cheap with his compliments, cheap with his affection, cheap with his appreciation. So
Oh,
5 second rule is not just for food on the floor. Your guy looks at the bill, and if he gets out his phone and starts adding up, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and you're gone. You valet, you go.
bye. Yeah,
Bye, yeah,
bye.
yeah, bye, yeah, yeah.
The dating advice from Uchi. This is
I
great. We did a whole other segment on this.
Part two: you and your significant other finding
Yeah,
love
I
in a
could, I
biome
could,
in a
I
biome
could,
friendly world.
I could totally talk about the dating world with just how to not waste your energy on certain
Hmm.
people. But
That
anyway,
that bill is massive, and again, every guy tries to be a bigwig, right? picks you up in the newest Audi TT. He's got the Prada belt on. Hopefully it's a real one, not a knockoff. He's got his Christian Louboutin red bottom shoes. I have this fine restaurant. You're thinking, wow, he's got the ocean tower. You've got drinks set on fire, and you know it's not going to be $120. And if your new date or the third date goes, just opens the bill, puts the credit card, puts it down, keeper, generous guy, abundant guy, lots for everyone. Because as many times as sometimes the waiter makes mistakes against you, as many times they make it in your favor. So steak on, steak not on, let it go. But if you want to impress anyone, even at a business, if I'm going to buy, if you're buying into a DSO and this dentist owns 14 offices and he wants to get this new dentist on board with his office of 20 people. If he looks at the bill and just throws it down, that's a abundant big pie DSO leader. You get someone getting out his calculator and he puts on his reading glasses and his magnifying glass. Run! Do not sign. Do not sign your agreement.
He's all like,
Cheap DSO. According to my calculations, I got a steamed asparagus, which is a little bit cheaper than the fresh asparagus. Get your car, go find someone else. Bye.
Swipe left. Block, delete.
There should be like maybe an app for DSOs, like swipes left, swipe right. So that's
I'm telling you that's a whole thing that I've actually thought of for employers. Like it's where you rate. I mean, there's other apps that do that, but we have ideas here. We could make some changes in the world
right away. I think if someone is taking notes, and I think someone is actually recording this, there's stuff that's going on here that is life changing, game changer, the game changing podcast.
Yes. Yeah. Uche, thank you so much for it. This 30 minutes always goes by so fast. I might have to have you back on. And maybe when I see you in person, I'll have my stuff with me and then I'll interview you on the spot and we'll just have fun with it.
I am an effervescent, constantly perpetual content sharing entity.
Yes, you are. Thank you so much. And I know that you are emceeing a big conference in September. Is that right?
Actually, no, it's later on this summer. It's a Bulletproof Summit.
Nice.
Craig Spodak and Peter Bonder out of Atlanta, Craig out of Florida. Game-changing kind of a conference, very much a practice management, but with a first-class Michelin star flair. And they said, Uche, we want some spontaneous guy like you to connect the dots and connect the sessions. It's all in one room. So, and teams learn together. Teams as many as these dentists are really big, abundant people. Teams of 30. Dentists pay for all their 30 team to come. Yeah. But that's going to be in Scottsdale this summer. So I'm excited to be a part of it. And I was invited. So this is who I am.
Oh man, that sounds like a blast. Well, right place though. I mean, you are a joy. I always love what I see. I love your energy and your frequency when I'm around you. Thank you so much for being on. And you guys, if you don't know Uche or how to get in touch with him, his information is in the show notes. Please go to his Instagram, check in on what he's doing. He's everywhere in every city near you, basically, right? How often do you travel, Uche? I know I'm trying to wrap up, but it's like, I have questions.
You know what? I go where I'm called. If I get a sense that's a place where I need to be, I'm pretty, as much as I'm a cerebral guy, I'm pretty intuitive. So I might be an overthinker in some stuff, but very much intuitive in other areas. So I think I'm an ENTP. I know we can start a second show. I'm a Myers-Briggs ENTP. I look at patterns. I am, global, but I'm an ENTP. So
I'm going to have you on my other podcast, Truth and Dare. We're going to talk about this. We're going to go live on that. You're hired.
For sure.
So, Uche, thank you again. For our listeners, thank you so much for all that you do every day. And you know how I always ask you, do me a favor, go on to Apple Podcast, give 5-star ratings because Apple is the one that kind of matters. Go on over to YouTube, like, subscribe, share. And when you hit that subscribe button, it recommends us to other people like you. So thank you, my friends. Be well, keep doing great things, and I'll see you soon.